Hey everybody, welcome back to YAFTV. It is Monday, October 23rd of 2023, and I'll jump in with my disclaimer. This video is for entertainment purposes only. It is protected by the United States Constitution protecting free speech as well as the Sullivan Act and reporting. It is not intended to bully or harass anyone, never to incite violence or hatred or lawlessness of any kind. It doesn't give legal, medical, or financial advice. And if you ever see anything offering that in the description below, please know it has nothing to do with me. It's just trolling on this channel, but there are further disclaimers in the description below. So I'm so glad to be back with you. Thanks for supporting the channel, making YAFTV happen. I so appreciate it. So today we're going to talk about a number of things. I want to talk about Protix. They're connecting with Tyson here in the United States, the massive manufacturer and marketing of meat in this country, the second largest, connecting with the bug protein company Protix. We're going to talk about that out of the Netherlands they're from. We're going to talk about what's going on with Paragon and how this stand down happened in Israel. This programmed, situation while they're decimating Gaza, how that, kind of was created through a military surveillance company. And we're going to get into that. We're going to get into a lot of things here. But first I wanted to start talking about, I think RFK Jr. for a split second here, where he seems to be moving left in what he's talking about. RFK Jr. going independent, presenting a problem to which side, do we wonder? And I think it's becoming apparent that RFK Jr. is leaning left to take votes away from the Democrats. Okay, he's talking points around reparations, money for reparations, multiple things that are kind of promoting like a Democrat left agenda. And I think that means that his intention is to actually promote getting votes away from Biden. And I on a certain level, believe that RFK Jr. is playing a role here to move the country actually towards votes for Trump. That he is going to try to take votes away from the left and away from the Democrats. And we'll see how that plays out. But it seems like there's some background situations going on here that are promoting that that viewpoint that RFK Jr. is putting himself in a median position here to see how can he help save the country and direct it towards the best possible outcome. And I think that best possible outcome at this moment is Donald Trump, who's leading in the Harvard polls, 50 points ahead of everybody, kicked it out of the park today in Derby, New Hampshire, where he basically, the caucuses are coming up, less than 90 days now, getting it ready, get himself on the ballot everywhere, did a great, amazing speech there again, came out over the weekend with great video talking about getting us out of any kind of WHO treaties, any of the pandemic treaties, saying that he took us out of the WHO, and that he put out there that Joe Biden rejoined the WHO, paying what the U.S. was paying before, $500 million a year to the WHO. And Trump said the WHO had come and approached him and said, you can come back into the WHO for only $25 million, okay, per year. And Trump said, no, we're not coming back. And so he put that out there, just letting people know that Biden joined back into the WHO for the United States to be subject to the stripping of our sovereignty, the stripping of our health rights, basically, becoming an arm of the UN. There's a lot of wind here right now, because that's what they want, because that's who Joe Biden works for, is Cartel Babylon. And so basically giving the full $500 million, which I'm sure that, Americans would love to have that money back here in the country. So let's jump into a couple things. We've got the vote on the House. They're trying to put up Tom Emmer. Okay, the total rhino. It's worse than a rhino. He is literally the anti-Trumper par excellence, who has worked for George Soros, it's a good time to call your representatives and say, if you vote for Tom Emmer, you'll never get a dime from me, and plus we will turf you out in the next primary. We will get you out of Congress. Because Tom Emmer, he worked for George Soros in trying to destroy the Electoral College, basically coming out for the national popular vote, which is basically making us into a democracy instead of a republic, where the popular vote basically can be so controlled, okay, by the propaganda machine that you don't have your electoral college. And so that's what Tom Emmer stands for. He's the majority whip. And so his job is to go around collecting tons of money, okay, from the GOP donors. And his job has been to make sure that none of that money goes to American first candidates. None of that money goes to anybody who supports Trump. That is his job, Tom Emmer. And so he's, out of Minnesota, big supporter of Ilhan Omar. Just a complete rhino. Actually, even coming out in support of maybe Liz Cheney running for president. I mean, you can't make it up. It's so disgusting. The daughter of the Halliburton, disgusting person. Her running for president is so ridiculous, and yet he's even spoken that might be something that he would support. They've even been throwing out there Liz Cheney for Speaker of the House, who has no position at all whatsoever. If we can't get Trump as Speaker of the House, we certainly can't get Liz Cheney. So Tom Emmer, you want to call 202-224-3121. Call your representatives. Tell them, if you vote Tom Emmer for Speaker of the House, we're turfing you out. Okay, he literally is blackmailing. His job is to blackmail candidates, right, in the GOP, to say, you're going to support whoever we support for, whether it's Speaker of the House, whether it is for different bills, for whatever we're doing. In order to get our money from the GOP or become the candidate, you have to agree in advance to do these things. And that is why what is so wrong with our criminal crime syndicate running, operating this country that calls themselves the Congress and the federal government. So, no vote for Tom Emmer. He is a Soros-funded, literally, in his involvement with Fair Vote, in his involvement with promoting the national popular vote instead of the Electoral College. All right, so moving on from there, I wanted to go into a few things. Before I move into certain things, I want to talk about what's going on in Armenia, and I want to then get into Paragon and get into Protix, all of this stuff. But I want to talk about Armenia for a second, because while everything's going on here with the constant barrage blast destroying of the Gaza, the reason they haven't gone in is really because they want to destroy Gaza, okay? And we've seen, of course, the decimation of one of the oldest churches that happened, late last week, where we get the destruction of the St. Porphyrius Church, which I'll get more into in a minute. One of the oldest Christian churches, the third oldest Christian church in the world, destroyed in Gaza. Okay, the killing of Christians. The same thing on steroids is happening in Armenia, and we all, if you've watched this channel or are a Christian, you know about the Armenian Genocide of 1915 and how Stalin was able to take control of this area during the time of the Bolshevik revolutions there in Russia. And what happened then, of course, with 1.5 million Armenians dead, okay, was they stole a lot of the land, okay, to go to the USSR. And what happened at the fall of the USSR is that part of that land was given back to Armenia. And this gets into, I believe, what is called the Nagorno-Karabakh region, okay, Nagorno-Karabakh. But right now, there's a certain section of that called the Artsakh. And what's happening there is that 120,000 okay, mainly Christians. This is the largest Christian region, okay, of Armenia. Is being they're having to flee. They're having to flee because Azerbaijan, okay, is attacking. Okay, Azerbaijan, and what we get from Azerbaijan, a Muslim country, is that the Azeris, as they're called, they're being supported by Israel. You know, how strange, right? Because of the pipelines. It's all about gas and natural liquid gas. All of this out of Azerbaijan, a huge, massive, they have tons of resources in their country. And so everybody's supporting them while the Christians are being driven out of the Artsakh region of Armenia. And we understand that basically this is the oldest Christian country declared Christian. I think it was Gregory the Illuminator or Gregorio the Illuminator in early 300s, like 300 AD, that declared Armenia the first Christian country. And it's so funny when we look at, let's give $100 billion more to Ukraine mostly, and then a lot to fund. Some to fund Israel, and then tons to fund all of this other stuff, to do with, giving the migrants, the invaders of our border, money into New York City, Chicago, all these places so they can house these people. What Armenia is getting from the United States right now is $11.5 million, $11.5 million in U.S. aid to the Christian Armenians, being 120,000 of them, okay, being driven out of the Artsakh region of Armenia. And so that being the oldest Christian country, look at what's going on here, folks. Look at what is prioritized by our massively, obviously, Build Back Babylon government that we have, but also hugely specifically made to be massively Muslim controlled government that we live in after Barack Hussein Obama brought them all in. Blinken, Antoni Blinken, our Secretary of State, connected to everything. Apparently, he's super connected to Paragon and what is going on in Israel right now. I'm going to talk about that in a second. Well, he said just a few days ago that Azerbaijan is going to invade the remaining area there in the Artsakh region of Armenia, and then he retracted it, suddenly. But we know that they're invading. The people are having to flee. They're destroying all of the ancient Christian sites in Armenia. They're destroying the graves of the people who died in the Armenian Genocide of 1915. They're destroying the oldest Christian churches in the region. They're replacing them with mosques, and they're replacing them with fight club style gyms. They're literally just making a mockery of our Christian oldest areas. And if we're going to look at an international conflict that should have our interest, it should be what's going on in Armenia, not really so much what's going on in the Israeli Palestinian created debacle that they're doing now. And they did create it, and we're going to talk about how they created it and how the U.S. World Economic Forum, basically the controlled Cartel Babylon is controlling the whole situation here of what's going on in both Israel and in the West Bank. They're controlling both sides while they decide what they're going to do. What can they get done the best, okay, to create the most mayhem, to bring in what they want, which is their control of all the energy, control of all the food, and to also create as much mayhem in a Cloward and Piven style between the people, to be so upset with each other about, whether it's Jewish reality, Muslim reality. The reality is most of us don't have a dog in this fight. We know that that Israel is very much controlled by the Ashkenazi Eastern European converts versus the Sephardic Jews, the Semites, okay, and then you have in Palestine Semitic peoples, okay. This is a Zionist fight, okay, versus a massively controlled military operation in funding, an Arab fight on the other side. So that's all simpleton, and you already know that. But I want to get into, what is actually happening. I'm just really, I want you to check out what's going on with Azerbaijan attacking the Armenians and them having to flee, because I think it's a much bigger and important situation for Christians in America to see that than to see what's happening in Israel and Gaza at the moment. And so let's move on from there. I want to move into what is, I think I'm going to go with Paragon first. So Paragon, just because we're talking about these subjects, Paragon is a Israeli surveillance software, okay, that was created, I think, in 2019. It started out as just a backdoor to, it could get into any encrypted software in your phones. It could get into Signal, WhatsApp, Facebook, Gmail, and just read everything, okay? And it comes out of Unit 8200, out of Israeli intelligence. And I talked about this a couple of videos ago, where 8200, where they create the best cybersecurity software in the world in Israel. And that to say that they, didn't understand what was happening with this stand down is absolutely crazy, because of course they did. And so that 7-hour stand down that we saw was very much connected to a company called Paragon. And I'm going to get into, I saw a video by, again, we often hear from this guy, Patrick Byrne, right, who was so involved in so much of the Trump stuff, but in the Overstock guy, the billionaire, or the multimillionaire, he put out a video that I thought was really interesting in the last few days, and he's talking about Paragon, and it's really interesting, connected to the Unit 8200 unit that I was talking about out of Israel. And what he is saying is that the former Prime Minister Barak, Ehud Barak, was super connected with Antoni Blinken and Avril Haines, the now current director of national intelligence, and Dan Shapiro, the former ambassador to Israel under Barack Obama. That Paragon was the cybersecurity software for defense that got pushed and pushed and pushed by Blinken. Huge amounts of American money, venture capital going in to support this software company called Paragon Solutions back in 2019. That's back when they were just competing with Pegasus to hack your phone's back end, get into your WhatsApp, your Signal, geolocate you anywhere, anytime, even if your phone's off. Even if you've dumped it and deleted it, it still is there. It has you. It's there no matter what. Into your not just your phone, but your Alexa, your Echo, your smart TV, whatever devices you have, it gets in there and it stays in there no matter what happens after with attempting to delete it. And so what Patrick Byrne was having to say was that Paragon, what he brought to my attention is that Avril Haines, who's now the Director of National Intelligence, Antoni Blinken, the Secretary of State, and Dan Shapiro are all on the board of Paragon. And Paragon was then set up to be using some of the largest disinformation campaigns of things that are trying to basically show that where there's a danger to humans by surveillance, this kind of thing. Well, something called Citizens Lab Okay, it comes out of Munk University, University of Toronto, Munk section of that. Their Citizens Lab has been calling themselves a human rights and technology advocacy, that they want to make sure that technology isn't screwing over our human rights. But basically what's really happening is that Citizens Lab gets taken over by Blinken et al., Avril Haines, the lot of them. And Avril Haines, remember her, she as I think she was a deputy director of the CIA at the time that Event 201 happened, and she was in those videos of Event 201 talking about how to control the population in the event of the pandemic and all of that. Now she's director of national intelligence. She's DNI for Biden. But her, Blinken, and Shapiro are all involved in this Paragon software. They're all on the board of advisors. They're all deeply connected to making sure that Citizens Lab went out against all the other Israeli intelligence companies, whether it's Pegasus, multiple others, go against them all, saying that they're violating human rights. So that Israeli intelligence ended up using this Paragon Solutions, and Paragon Solutions, I think, then became Paragon. Over the years, over the last 4 years, it's been in effect. And what's interesting here is that we get, well, I'm going to come back to that. I want to go over here and talk about, so Paragon, all right. Basically, they have no website. You can't really track them. They're like almost like the Allen and Company, out of Wyoming every year. Like, you don't see these people. They're not trackable to us, but they track everything we do. And so we get somebody called Ehud Schneerson, who's the co-founder and director-in-chief. He is also the biggest shareholder in Paragon. And he is the former commander of Unit 8200, okay, which is equivalent to Israel's NSA. It would be in Israel's version of our NSA. And he was able to create this Paragon that would put the rest of Israeli software cybersecurity companies out of the picture, and make Paragon be the central picture. And what I'm trying to say here is that with Paragon being the thing that was controlling everything, and how long they take to plan these war scenario simulations, like we're seeing, real people dead, but a created scenario, like I've talked about, Operation Juniper Oak that happened back in last January with the U.S. military, with the Israeli military doing their operations in the south there, right next to Gaza, right next to this whole scenario, creating this whole thing, right? We even have the crazy thing of Shea, our ambassador to Lebanon, being a major paraglider, outside of Lebanon, where they have like major paragliding training, and that the training of the paragliders was definitely U.S. military intelligence. I mean, you can't make it up. Like it's like our people are so transparent, and social media has done it. They've shot themselves in the foot with this huge access to the social media that shows these people for who they are. And so we get Shea, the U.S. ambassador to Lebanon, basically showing how she loves to paraglide. But right next to there is all the training of the U.S. military in Lebanon, training the paragliders for this operation. And this operation, they call Hamas, supposedly Al-Aqsa Mosque, right? This is a planned operation for a very long time, and Paragon seems to be key in this for how the intelligence would have been able to shut down the wall, shut down the access of perhaps loyal Israeli intelligence from knowing what was going on, how to shut down the knowing of what was happening in other countries as well, through Paragon. And so let's look at it. So Ehud Schneerson, and we have, of course, Ehud Barak, the former prime minister, being one of the co-founders of Paragon. Okay. And so this is an all interesting situation to look at when we look at, what are they trying to do in Israel as they try to consolidate power, as the people are more and more waking up there. You have a U.S. company called Battery Ventures. They backed a lot of the early creation of Paragon Solutions. Again, this is a cybersecurity software that is used through all of Israel defense intelligence now, where they made it so through Citizens Lab attacking all of the other surveillance networks as being, human rights violators, and you have your Blinken, your Haynes, and your Shapiro behind that because they're also on the board of Paragon. And so when we look at when we look further at this, Battery Ventures gave, tens of millions of dollars into this Paragon. They had supported things like Pokemon. They had supported Coinbase. They're out of Boston, Massachusetts. And so we look at the Pegasus project, which was a nonprofit project that was aiming to expose the Pegasus software, which is very close to what Paragon Solutions was at the beginning, which was, just cracking into encrypted software, whether it was WhatsApp or Telegram or Signal or all of these encrypted software, Facebook Messenger. Basically just saying, no, we can get in there instantly. We can install total spyware in any device. And the Pegasus project was exposing that the NSO group, who literally is connected to Ehud Schneerson, who started Paragon, co-founder and chief shareholder. He was the former commander of Unit 8200, and he was totally interconnected with NSO before they went over to Paragon. I know it's sounding a little squirrely. I'm kind of rambling on. But what I'm trying to say here is that there was a takeover in cybersecurity, in Israel. And it had to do with Antoni Blinken. It had to do with our chief intelligence officer, the director, Avril Haines, who was super involved with Event 201. And of course, we get Israel being the huge subject laboratory of Event 201. We get all of this interconnected, even with Robert Maxwell, who was, of course, the triple agent spy who ran, Ghislaine Maxwell's father, who was the last one to talk to him was Antoni Blinken's stepfather. Massive, huge connection with Mossad. All of this interconnection, Blinken again, out of West Exec, We never heard about it, during the Obama administration, but West Exec was hugely running what was going on with Susan Rice and Valerie Jarrett, running what was going on and what led to, the Ukraine, fake coup. All of this, was all run by the same people. And Antoni Blinken seems to keep being in the middle of it. He's of course, Ukrainian descent Jew with his stepfather and his father, both his father being super involved with George Soros, super involved with the Open Societies Foundations, and his stepfather being hugely involved in banking and Mossad and Robert Maxwell and the Jeffrey Epstein stuff. And now we get this Paragon stuff and the whole thing about the software and the cybersecurity and Israel's stand down during this last 16 days that keeps going on. Well, they just keep destroying and destroying and destroying Gaza. All they want to do is destroy it because they want to build it back Babylon. They want that land so they can build it back into whatever it is that they're trying to do. And yes, there is religious connotations. Yes, there is demonic connotations. Yes, there is satanic connotations. There's all of that energy involved here. But the reality is that they want to kill everybody, and enjoy the killing of everybody, creating the situation of the killing of Israelis so that they can then have the excuse to kill everybody. And when we look in Israel, well, actually, when we look in Gaza, we look at that church, the St. Porphyrius Church, 1150 A.D., the third oldest Christian church in the world to be destroyed, and hundreds of Christians killed. The families that were residing there and were taking, refuge in that church, just below the line where they said, we're not going to attack. We're not going to attack there. In southern Gaza. Well, they did, and, we have Bethlehem in Israel. Used to be 80% Christian. Now it's something like 17% Christian. To even go to the holy sites for Christians in the West Bank for the holidays, the Christian holidays, you have to apply and get a permit. People younger than 55 aren't allowed to get a permit to go do these things. There is a Christian persecution in Israel, and people need to understand that, that the Eastern European Zionist rule of Israel is not the biblical Israeli, is not the biblical people of Israel. Okay, it is the control of Israel by what is the synagogue of Satan. I'll just say it. I'll just say it. It's controlled by Build Back Babylon, and that's why you get Israel. That's why you get the try to set up of what is going to be emerging of a much larger land masses here to do with an Israeli state, and we'll get to that. So, okay, moving on. We're still in the Paragon phase here. I think that all I want to say more about it is that, we had Netanyahu come here on the exact day of that emergency broadcasting system alert, back a few days before it kicked off there for the Hamas attack. And this whole situation of the hacking of all the smart devices, the Paragon stuff out of Silicon Valley, super connected to Haifa, the second Silicon Valley. All of this, they need to know that they have all the right information for what they're about to do. Okay, for this stand down, for this play of what became the Hamas attack, and that's what I believe, is that they knew what was going on, they planned it, and they're still carrying it out. So I'm going to move on to this other situation to do with the bugs, right? Which, of course, anyone Jewish cannot eat the bugs, okay? It's against one of their commandments in the Torah. But the rest of the world is meant to eat the bugs, okay? And this is a Build Back Babylon situation. And we have Tyson coming out and saying, Tyson being the largest, second largest meat manufacturing and marketing company in the world, right? Where they process all those chickens mostly, right? And they market them, and they're teaming up with a company called Protix. And Protix is very, very creepy. It is, it's basically, mostly what it is a manufacturing company for the black soldier fly, okay? And so the black soldier fly is supposed to be the new amazing meat. Right now, what Tyson and Protix are doing is they're going to manufacture black soldier fly protein and meat and eggs and larvae to go into your pet food, okay? And also to use that as the new byproducts to go into animal feed. and also use it to feed all the farm fish. Okay, so it already has been for a long time that the farm fish, if you buy farm fish, and now we know they have GMO salmon, they have all of this now completely legal, that the farm fish are getting fed crap, literally. Often they'll have like chickens on top of the fish, and they just shit, and the fish eat the shit. Okay, now they're saying, oh well, we could give them the soldier fly crap, we could give them the black soldier fly larvae and waste. And so you get this crazy thing where Tyson is partnering up with Protix. Okay, Protix is taking over the Netherlands. So as they're killing all the farming industry in Netherlands, as they're killing the whole situation in the Netherlands that had the best farming, right, in the world, the best farmers in the world, just like in Ukraine where you had the most fertile farmland, and now it's going over to Cargill and Monsanto and Bayer and all this and Gates. The reason they're taking it over is it's not only just to have artificial intelligence controlled farming or vertical farming. It's because they intend that we're going to eat the bugs. This is literally the what they call the new planetary diet out of the UN, out of the World Economic Forum. And in the situation in the future, what they intend is to have digital printing of food. Okay, you'll have, instead of your microwave, you'll have a digital printer. You insert cartridges like you know, like with your Keurig, you put in your coffee thing. Oh no. This is where you put in fat, cartridges of fat, protein, and some fiber. You put those cartridges in, and it digitally prints something resembling something you used to know as food. Okay, so you get your lab-grown meats. Okay, that are just immortal tumor cells. Okay, literally cancer tumor cells that are created to create these vats and vats and vats of fat, proteins. Fats and proteins, can glob together, that they then put into digital printers to make these lab-grown meats. Right now, it's all in the factory. At the end of this day, they want it to be in your home. That's what they're planning, is that you're going to print your digital food, okay, in your printer. You're going to have a digital printer. You stick your cartridges in there. It's going to like squirt it all out to look like something you used to know as what food looked like. And so that's what they're going for, and that's where the bug stuff is coming from, because they want their lipids and their proteins coming out of the bugs. And so while Tyson is connecting up with Protix out of the Netherlands, they're killing all the farmers there, stealing all their land, putting out the production of cattle, dairy, the best cheese, the best everything from the most expert farmers in the world. Well, because now Protix is one of the largest companies in the world for this new protein bug fly, black soldier fly protein and lipids. So let's get into what that is. And of course, chitin, because they love the chitin. The chitin is like the hard shells on like your beetles and your crickets and your grasshoppers, your June bugs, this kind of thing. They love the chitin. The chitin is like so super hyperglutinous that anybody with like a gluten allergy or aversion to that would just wreck your digestive system. Okay, for entertainment purposes only. But then on top of it, the chitin is also piezoelectric. It's piezoelectric, meaning that it lights up on the EMF system, the EMF spectrum, so that it provides more of this luminescence in our bodies. If we eat it, we've got that piezoelectricity coming into our bodies, and so they love that too. So as I said, now they're starting with pet food, aquaculture, farm fish food, livestock food. So your livestock eating the bugs. And so let's get into what it is. They're going to be building and also the parasites. They don't just process all this. They grind it all up. Okay, so parasites and all. Okay, parasites, bacteria and all, ground up and put into what it becomes this bug protein. So they're going to, with Tyson, build in the United States a huge, massive factory in connection with Protix of this black soldier fly industry. And don't get me wrong, black soldier flies, like if you are composting, you can, having black soldier flies like in your compost, there's a huge thing that goes on there with the worms and, really actually creating really rich soil. And so it does have some really good uses, okay? But consumption of them and the promotion where this is leading, okay, is leading to the humans eating the bugs. And so when we look at it, what they're saying so far is in the USA facility will feed animal waste so they're going to use their Tyson factory chicken farms of that huge suffering, those awful debeaked, living in massive cages, awful Tyson chickens, all the waste they produce and their byproducts, are, meaning all the crap that comes out of those slaughtered chickens is going to go to feed, okay, all of these black flies, okay, in this new massive factory, where they're then going to use, those black flies to then feed the poultry, right? It's a circle. And that's even what they say in their thing. I'll link it all below. It's a circle. It's a circle. It's so great. It's a circle of life, life of really awful, horrifying conditions for the chickens, into, massive production of like billions and billions and billions of black soldier flies to then feed back to the chickens in a meal, but also don't forget the lipids. We love the fats of the black flies. And so they also are saying this will be food for the farmed fish, but don't worry, they also want to put it in your pet food. They really think that your pets need black fly protein. And so we're going to get into what that's called. And we're going to get into who's doing it. I'll talk about who's doing it first. So Kees Aarts. So we got John R. Tyson is the current CFO of Tyson, okay, and then we get Kees Aarts. Kees Aarts, he's the CEO of Protix, this massive, huge company in the Netherlands, and he is a World Economic Forum young global leader. Wow, big surprise there. Couldn't imagine. And he also was a global Shapers community member, global Shapers community member. So he's one of these cultivated by the World Economic Forum for the new planetary diet, funded massively by those venture capitalists so involved in this. One of those is called the Shadow View Foundation, who funds all of these types of companies like Protix and other sustainability companies for the World Economic Forum, the Shadow View Foundation. And the Druid Collective that also does the same thing, funding these corporations for the World Economic Forum young leaders. Okay, and so Kees Aarts, let's see, he was on the Future Council on Food Security and Agriculture, again, the new planetary diet. This is where the human CBDC digital ID system, the digital currency system for your food allotments, right, is going to describe what you're allowed to buy with your digital currency, and your social credit score will play a huge part in that. If you spend your money on the wrong things, you're going to get not good food allotments. You won't get your 3 cubes of cheese per month. Okay, you'll be stuck with the fly protein. You'll be stuck with the lipid fly butter, right? Lipid fly butter. Oh my God. And so, okay. So that is Kees Aarts. He's born and bred out of the World Economic Forum, and he used to work for McKinsey, huge in McKinsey, as a research and development advisor, and also interconnection there with the aerospace and industry, which of course a lot of this foods, as they're planning these off-planet missions, go to the moon, Artemis, all of it, the other side of the moon, colonize the moon, going to Mars, says Musk. Well, these guys they're going to get your food. It's going to be digitally printed. It's going to be really delicious. It's going to be, if you want to go to Mars, you can eat some really good black soldier fly lipid butter, yum, on digitally printed toast. And you're going to be psyched. Some nice gluten-free toast there on Mars. And so going on from there, let's talk about what are some of their products, okay? Well, Protix says they're bringing the food system back into balance with nature, okay? Because us humans, we're not in balance with nature with how we do our food, with our farming. And hey, I'm not into factory farming. Let's put all those billions of dollars into organic farming. Let's put it into organic agriculture. Let's take Bill Gates and Cargill and Monsanto out of it and put all that money into growing healthy, beautiful, natural food, okay, from real seeds, heirloom seeds, free of these psychopathic just power mongers, the Build Back Babylon people, and instead get back to doing our normal farming. But no, they want to do the next level of dumbing down and weakening the human mind and body. That's their deal. We went from Paleolithic to Neolithic, right? They put the grains in. Once they started feeding us grains as humans, they were able to build slavery, build a money system around it. Oh, you have to pay me in grain. I want my barley, You're going to have to pay me in sacks of barley to even exist in this city. The sucking in of people into comforts, right? But usually through force. It wasn't just, it's so much easier to be here in this grain-centered village. No. They came and captured you and made you be there. And, when we look at the feudal system they're creating now, the neo-feudalist situation, as they try to take back the land, 80% of the land, they say 30 by 30%, 30% of the land by 30, but no, it's really 80% of the land. They want to take all of the land back from the humans, and they're creating a massive derivatives market for the future where they're going to own everything, and then the protection of everything, including animals, including plants and trees, will all be sensor activated. They'll all be smart activated, whereby they know where everything is all the time, every single animal, including us, alive, and all owned, okay, by the new market system, which is the conservation capitalism. And that's what's up and coming, conservation capitalism, where everybody will be tagged. And if you kill a rabbit, okay, just like feudalist Europe, okay, if you stole the king's rabbit, or your lord's rabbit, okay, you have to pay the price because that rabbit belongs to the king. And in this market, okay, in this where they're going to create this, basically a new form of slavery, the slaves versus the elite billionaire class. If you kill a deer, that deer will already be censored and tagged. You'll have stolen from this market system, this conservation capitalism. You can call it capitalism, it's just fascism. Basically, this conservation economy where now everybody's going to be buying derivatives into the existence of trees and animals and water systems and all of this to basically prevent humans from using them. What they plan to do is prevent humans from freely using the water systems, the agricultural systems, from hunting the animals, from felling the trees for energy or for building. That those are all going to be patented and owned by this ruling class system, this Build Back Babylon, World Economic Forum, New Planetary Diet, 80 by 30, new world, okay, where nature, God's green earth, is owned by full scale, the Cartel Babylon. And that's where they're going with it. And so getting up here at 48 minutes, I didn't expect to go so long, but let's just talk about a few of their programs here. That you're going to have Protein X. Protein X is their primary product. It's an insect-based protein meal for pet food and fish feed basically it's consisting of, it's the soldier fly. It's made of a fly, of usually, you see those blue bottle flies in your house. All you want to do is kill them because they're like totally, like, they contain bacteria and parasites and disgusting crap, and you don't want them ever anywhere near you or your food or whatever. Yeah, that's what they want to make this out of, black soldier flies. And so then there's lipid X. So there's all these X's. They're really into the X. It's always the X. We get Musk with his X. We get the whole X everything. This X stands for basically what is the Cartel Babylon? What is the demonic realm? Okay, you can call it secret space program. You can call it whatever it is, whatever you think. But the demonic realm of X. Okay, and how they use it and everything that has to do with their capture, their simulation of humanity. They're trying to entrap us into a matrix that allows us to be more simulated. I mean, when you look at the piezoelectric situation with the chitin of the insects they want to use for these insect foods that they want us to digitally print and make it look like a steak, those properties trap us further. They connect us further with electromagnetic frequencies. It's all very well laid out. You got to give them that. So lipid X. Okay, this is insect fats. Lipid X. It's so good for you, they say. Insect fats product for pets, livestock, and fish. Made from, and they always say this. It's not meant for humans yet. They always say it's not meant for humans yet. Every single time. Not yet, but, we're working on it. We're working on how we can get that black soldier fly larvae, lipid X, massively cool, rich and medium chain fatty acids into you. We're just looking at how we can do it. This is the larvae. The larvae of the black soldier fly is what they make their product. This is Protix, now connected with Tyson, all the poultry out there. Hope you don't ever buy it. Those awful, cruel, chicken farms. But lipid X, insect fats product. Okay, it's made from the larvae of the black soldier fly. Very rich in medium chain fatty acids. It's going to go into your pet food. So very soon you'll be seeing this. It will say all natural. It'll say all healthy, all natural. It will say probably something like indigenous food, for your animal, something like really paleo, because it's going to be this black soldier fly fresh insect meat. And this is called Puree X. Puree X is the fresh insect meat you can buy. Like now you have your natural farmer or your natural, dog, whatever. You can get these like frozen things that you buy. You feed them to your pet. Now it's going to be called fresh insect meat, which isn't a thing. And they say this is so you can reduce your carbon paw print. You can reduce your carbon paw print because your animals are killing the earth. So okay, while our the veterinarian veterinarians out there making all their money on the vaccines and the shots and the treatments, and they're always like, don't give them your table scraps, don't you dare give them that leftover like rind from your piece of steak, or don't give those dogs and cats like your table scraps. No, let's feed them black fly larvae instead. And then there's the flightilizer. This is fly fertilizer, which actually isn't such a bad thing in a way, but certainly not on a big scale. And you can buy your fresh soldier fly eggs. Again, if you're doing some major composting, these soldier fly eggs actually, you can create really good worm situation in your composting. So I'm not totally against all that. There's good uses of these things. They just should not be used on a massive a planet-wide factory system connected with our meat supply with Tyson, that's getting into destroying our food, especially our our meat production. And so another cool thing I do like about it is that they want to replace soy, palm kernel oil, and fish meal. And, you know, on some level, like with chickens who eat mostly insects in their natural environment, this kind of thing, you could see where it would be useful as an industry, for sure. Okay, but just don't make it be that when you're gonna have to go buy your dog food, it's gonna be filled with black soldier fly protein. Okay. All right, there's so much more I could say. I'm already at 54 minutes. I never expected to go this long. I know this one was kind of squirrely. It's been a weird few days, folks. But we continue on. We're dealing with massive heavy energies, so much going on in the world. But we're carrying on because we have Christ sitting in our hearts. And what that does for me is it gives me the strength, the peace, you know, just the ability to grok, to integrate, okay, everything that's going on that I hear about, and to continue to understand that God's plan is absolutely animating me, animating all of us, that as much as we continue to ask to be the instrument of God, as much as we continue to ask, please sit in my heart and show me what to do in these days, and to make the right decisions. As much as we, you know, take the mantle of going and being with our family, being with our community, being with the people who matter in our lives, and giving them our love and our attention, that's what we need to do. Because it's almost like, come let us ignore them. You know, come let us ignore them. They're just trying to lay waste, okay, to our faith, lay waste to our hope and our joy, and get us constantly distracted into the latest, whatever they can hype up as the most important crisis that's out there. But we're not going to be completely taken up by that. We can't. We need to be more than ever focused on our parallel construction of a different reality within our communities, the reality that comes out of the teachings of Jesus Christ, the simplistic teachings, okay, of loving thy neighbor, the golden rule, okay, simplistic teachings of love comes first. And if we can keep focused there, if we can keep bringing ourselves back there, and projecting that out through prayer, like, you know, prayer as a muscle. If you're working out right now, I hope it's using your prayer muscles, because that's what we need more than anything. The prayer is so paramount right now. Okay, well, we pray for the destruction of all the people that's going on in all these conflicts in our own country, while we pray for basically that God will, you know, take mercy on us as we repent and as we surrender, and just say, direct me, God, in what I do with my days. But then we say, you know, hey, how about you take out the demonic energies, the demonic forces that are also causing havoc, and it's okay to pray for that too. It's okay to pray for that too. Thy will be done. So I'll leave it there, folks. If you found something valuable in this video and want to support the channel, there's ways to do so below. I appreciate it. It keeps me going. I'll be able to do more videos if I get more support. I'm having to do other things in life, you know, because of everything that happened with the censorship, everything. I just keep going and doing what I can as I go. So I appreciate your support. And I do have the wonderful sponsor, C60 Evo. C60 Evo is an amazing company. They do incredible carbon 60 products. ESS 60 is their name for their 100% pure carbon 60. You can go to you can go to c60evo.com/YAFTV. Use the code YAFTV for 10% off. If you have a nano problem in your body, things like graphene, things like all the stuff that they're assaulting us with in the atmosphere that's on a nano level, well, what's great about carbon 60 that's of high quality, like ESS 60 out of C60 Evo, is that it's so small that it gets into your mitochondria. Okay, it works with your melatonin and your glutathione it acts like as a paddy wagon, as like a jailer. It grabs all this nano crap, okay, and then your glutathione and melatonin take it out of the system. So for people who are older, I'm older, it's great if you might consider taking also a melatonin and a glutathione supplement if you're, feeling depleted, just to help boost that capability of your mitochondria to take the garbage out. If you contribute to the channel, you get 15% off on c60evo.com/YAFTV. And then I send you a different link with a 15% code as well. And that's one way to support the channel because they support me. So thanks so much for listening. I appreciate you. We'll carry on. I think I'll be back tomorrow. And you are free, folks. Don't for a second ever forget it. Just keep on learning and keep on mostly just being with your communities and doing the work. Actually, but do call your representatives, 202-224-3121, and make sure that they don't vote for Tom Emmer, the Never Trumper, and put, who do you think should be speaker? Okay. We have a criminal enterprise, running our country, and we have to speak up, because the more we're speaking up, it actually is making a difference at the moment in the House. Take care. I'll see you very soon. You are free.